Stitch Cutie, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting. How are you doing today? Behind the camera right now is the famous Julie Love. So today the two of us are going to be doing an awesome tutorial for you on this sewing wreath quilt. This is just so cute. I hope that all of you who ordered the kits are so excited to open your kit up and get started with us. And then those of you that have the pattern, we're going to show you a little bit about what you need to do to get ready to join us. So as you join and start watching the video, comment, tell us where you're from, say hi. It's going to be exciting to stitch along with everyone. So again, this is the sewing wreath quilt, and it's part of a 6 quilt series. So the January 1st design was the sewing wreath. It kicked off the year of really awesome quilts. Let me show you what's coming up for March 1st. Are y'all ready for this? It's so cute. This is the Easter wreath quilt. Don't you just love it? I don't know, Mom, if you can get in and show how cute it is. It's adorable. So it's really fun. The whole series, all the quilts are the same size. They finished almost 18 inches square. So you can have a really nice spot in your home and change it out every month. It's just so cute. I love it. And I believe, right, Mom, all the designs feature the really fun stripe binding? Probably. Yes, they all do. So it's all going to be kind of the same theme of the really fun Swiss dots, the really cute stripes. And then in your kit, we also include the fun ribbons, which I will say, caveat, the March kit, it doesn't have this checkerboard. We changed it to a solid pink because it looks cuter. We just haven't changed our sample. So this is just...
But they'll all have rickrack too.
Oh yeah, and they all have rickrack in the binding. Just really, really fun projects to make. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is we're going to go over some machine applique basics. And maybe you're new to applique and so this looks intimidating because there's a lot of pieces. But let me tell you, this is not intimidating. This is super, super easy. We have a way to show you where you build applique units and you get to create the whole quilt. So it's just really fun. And if y'all are joining and watching, say hey. I know a lot of you emailed and are real excited about the tutorial today. So thank you for joining us. Okay, so let me show you.
But it will be available on YouTube later.
Yes, exactly. Maybe you're even watching this. How like meta is that? If you're like watching this not live, then like whatever. That's weird, right? But yes, we will make sure if you're joining us right now and you can't watch the whole thing and stay for the whole thing, we will make sure that the full video is available on Facebook to watch indefinitely, and then again, we'll get it uploaded to YouTube as well. Depending on how long I talk, it'll be uploaded to YouTube today. It might be tomorrow because we might talk so long that we have to leave and go eat dinner. Okay, so let me show you some of the other fun projects just before we get started with all of our stuff. So on the wall, Mom, I don't know if you can jump over. This is an upcoming, you will reserve your kit now. This is a collaboration with our friend Amy of Amy Brucken Designs, and it's called Spring in the Air. It features really fun line of fabric by Stacy Eastshoe. I'm so sorry.
Sunday Picnic. It's
Sunday
called.
Picnic. Yes,
From
is
Moda.
the name of the fabric line from Moda. And it's really, really cute. And so this originally was a coloring book line art drawing that Amy did, and then in conjunction with Mom, they collaborated and turned it into machine applique. And there is a smidge of hand embroidery on it. Really simple because we pre-print it for you. So it's a super fun project, and after the tutorial today, you're going to become addicted to machine applique if you aren't already. So,
hi, Barbara.
Yeah, this is the next one. Hey, Barbara, how you doing?
So happy you're joining us.
Yes. So this is also a coordinating pillow that goes with it. You can order either or both. I know most of you have ordered both. And this is called the 3 Chicks pillow. It's available as a pattern or a kit. Same for the Spring is in the Air. It's available as a pattern or a kit.
Hi, Leanie. Leanie's
here.
here.
How are you? So this is just a really cute pillow to have. And then this little guy is an upcoming freebie that we're doing for you. So this is a little teaser you get to see. We're going to have a little video series tutorial that goes with it. And then we have kits made up for this. The pattern's going to be a free download. And then if you want the kit just like it's shown, it's only $16.99. So that's not available just yet. Stay tuned. If you are not a member of our email list, go on and sign up. stitchesoflovequilting.com, right at the top of the homepage. You can enter your email address, and that way you'll be notified when this is available. And one more thing, well, 2 more things to show you before I go into all the machine applique tools. This is our Happy Easter pillow. Let's see, is that a good spot to hold it, Mom?
Yeah, let me step back.
So this is another collaboration with our friend Amy. And it is just a darling, darling pillow. I'm obsessed with pillows right now, so I'm really glad that we have a lot of pillows coming out. This is going to go in my house as soon as we're done with it here.
Obviously, that's an Easter pillow.
Yeah, this is an Easter pillow. So you have the cute little bunny in the center, and then you have a little Easter egg. You have some spring tulips. And then you have a cute little, I would imagine this is the Easter Bunny's house maybe, like on the hill. So cute.
Well, we need to say hello to Lila.
Hi,
and
how
to
are you?
Sandra. And
Hi.
Bernadette.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad all you ladies are joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to talk for just a few more minutes before we get into the tutorial just to let everyone join in. Let me get my stuff out of my way. All right, and I'm going to plop those right here. So we also, can I show the Sulky pillow?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this, if you visit sulky.com and click on their webinars, their free events, this is a pillow that Mom designed specifically for Sulky. And on March 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we're doing a machine applique tutorial. So pretty much what you'll learn in the live video today, we'll be doing with this pillow for our friends at Sulky. We laser cut all the pieces and sent that to them, and then they're kitting it with the fabrics and stuff. So if you want to order a kit before the webinar, I'm sure they have that linked on sulky.com. And I'll put a link to that webinar where you can reserve your spot in that webinar. It's totally free for the webinar, and the pattern is free, and it's released the day of the webinar. So you'll want to join us for that. This is so cute. I don't know if you want to like scan it a little.
And Sulky's going to have some special offers that day as
they're
well.
Gonna have, I think they put together Mom's favorite threads into a cool thread kit and stuff. So it's going to be good. And
speaking of thread.
Yeah, speaking of thread, let me tell you all some of our favorite tools for machine applique. So before we get started on the tutorial, I'm just going to go over some of our favorites that we use when we're doing this. So the first thing is you want to have really good thread, because that really brings your applique to life. So if you get in here, you can see the stitching just looks perfect. One, because Mom's so good at it. But two, you can look this perfect because the threads look amazing. So we have 2 sets of threads that are the threads that we use. So we have 30 weight in the needle and a 50 weight in the bobbin. So Mom's going to go over all that in the tutorial. But we've put together, well, we've had these. They're not new. These are like our staples. And they're not going to change because they're just the colors that we use forever and ever. So we have, this is the primary set in 30 weight, and then the matching set for your bobbin. So this is your 30-50 weight set for machine applique in the primary colors. And
Hi,
this
Judy.
Hey! And then this is all available on our website under Notions. And then we have the same thing, but these are the pastel colors. And so you have the 30 weight sulky threads and the 50 weight sulky threads. These are great. If you get, I know a lot of you have gotten all 4 sets. If you have all 4 sets, you should never have to buy really any other applique threads. Every now and then we might use a different color, but it's going to be like a one-off spool. And, you know, and I use the exact same, those 24 colors that are in primary and pastel. If you do the machine embroidery with us, we have sets of that in the 40 weight. And if you have those 2 colorways in the 40 weight rayon, that's all you'll need for machine embroidery with us. Okay, so when we're doing this tutorial, you're going to see that we're building what we call applique units. And we have a new favorite. I don't know if you all remembered Fusimat. They were our favorites, and they went away, unfortunately. We were super bummed. I don't know why. They were out of Australia.
Nope, New Zealand.
New Zealand, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's a big faux pas. I'm so sorry. They were from New Zealand. So I don't know what the story is on why we can't get it in America anymore. Who knows? But we found an alternative that we love, and actually it's a better price point for you. So that's awesome. And it is called the Precision Fusing Mat, and it's a set. Oh, sorry, Mom's telling me to hold it still. I move a lot.
She's a shaker.
I'm a shaker, apparently, when I talk. So this set right here, you get 2 12 by 18 mats. And so let me show you what those mats look like. And these are on our website under Notions, under pressing tools, because it's for, you know, pressing with your applique. So you get one. This is your non-stick fusing mat. And if I accidentally call it a fusing mat during the tutorial, I'm sorry. I mean fusing mat. And so this is really nice and easy to see through. And the green border really doesn't mean anything. It just kind of, you know, is there. But this is really great because as you're building your applique units, your pieces are going to stay in place on this. And
it has a tackiness to it.
Yeah, it kind of like, I don't know if you can see my fingers don't like slide. Whereas this one is Teflon coated. See my fingers slide freely? This is great for using in conjunction with this. You put it on top and you make sure you don't have any of that stickiness ever coming onto your iron. And speaking of iron, if you've ever watched one of our tutorials, you have seen this iron and we love it. It is our Steam Fast Travel Iron. This little guy is great. Look how much we use it. It's truly this one in every tutorial do. We love it. Okay, and then two more little tools that we love. These are called Karen K. Buckley's Perfect Scissors. So if you get am I shaking again? You should see Mom's eyes behind the camera. So if I get distracted, it's because Mom's going, at me. Okay, so we have the small pair, the medium pair, and then this is the large pair. If you have to pick just one size, my personal vote would go medium because you can trim small, little, whatever. I like to have all three of them at my workstation. You can see at the sewing machine right now today we have the medium and large with us. They're great. My favorite thing about these is they actually cut all the way to the end. Don't you hate when scissors like go like this and they don't touch at the end and they don't actually cut at the end? Drives me crazy. These, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now I have talked enough and you're probably tired of me and you want to get down to learning the brass tacks or whatever they say. So we're going to do a little bit of maneuvering. Mom's going to scan these beautiful quilts for you while I run around and take the camera from her. Because right before we went live, we have all these like fancy tripods and stuff set up. And then Facebook Live was like, nope, you have to only go vertical. You can't go sideways.
Okay, so while you move, I'm going to try to answer Barbara's question. She said she has a Bernina that does embroidery. Is that what you're talking about? She's never used it.
Oh, for the 40 weight threads.
Yes. The Bernina is a great machine, obviously. And, of course, it'll work with the 40 weight thread.
Yeah, absolutely. I love using, and after the Facebook Live, if you want to jump over to our YouTube channel, you can see some tutorials on how we do machine embroidery with the laser cut pieces, and I talk about the threads there. So there's a lot of information. After you're done here with us live, you can check it out on YouTube.
Hi, everybody.
And hey, Connie.
Oh, yes, I saw Connie said hi.
Hi.
Okay. So I'm going to move this. I just knocked something on the floor.
That's okay. Okay, so now, Mom, what are you going to teach us?
Well, for some people didn't purchase a kit, or you have other things that you need to be doing. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about fusibles and tracing your fusible for your patterns. So the fusible that we like to use is Heat and Bond Light. I like this because it's light. Obviously, it doesn't gum up your needles when you're stitching, and it's just all around great.
And we've used it for years.
Yeah, I've used this since it came out. So it's you want to make sure that you don't ever purchase the Craft, Heat and Bond Craft. Make sure you get Light, L-I-T-E.
Or Featherlight. I'm not really a Featherlight fan.
Featherlight as well.
We like just light.
As well. Okay, so in our patterns, we always number the pieces so that you can easily get them, build your units, which Brittany will talk some more about that. We also have every piece reversed, and we tell you they are reversed for easy tracing. Now, one of the suggestions I would like to make is that, like, for instance, the leaves on this, there's a lot of leaves. Brittany tells you to cut 29 pieces. That means you would have to trace 29 pieces. So when you're tracing them, trace all of those at one time. Trace them nearby. Anything that you can look at that you want to use the same color green, say, for, trace it all together. It may be that same green leaf, and it may be that you want to use the tops of your little pin cushions on this one for the same green fabric, so you want to trace it all together. So I'm gonna not trace hardly anything here, but I want to give you a tip. Let's say, let me move this, honey.
Yeah, and everybody, I'm coming in so you can see Mom trace really well.
Okay, so I have scraps of fusible everywhere.
So what do you have? Your setup is you have a light box.
I have a light box here, and what's in my hand is a Pigma pen, a micron Pigma pen. I don't know.
We put it over the pattern because the light kind of, there you go.
How's that?
And I know when we're filming over the light, you all, I know it's a little hard to
I use that, or else a lot of times I use one of these little Sharpie that says ultra fine point. You want to try to use a fine point because then it's easier to cut on the line. So let's just say that I'm tracing this flower here. And let's pretend this flower is, well, obviously, because I hand draw everything. See this pen? One thing about this Heat and Bond light, it's a little bumpy when you're tracing it, and that's because of the glue underneath. You know, because you're tracing on the paper side. I guess it's important to say that.
Yeah, you can tell the texture, and you want the textured side down.
Yeah, so make sure you don't try to trace on that side. Okay, so this is, she says cut 5 pieces, and she's got 8, 21, 44, 60, and 69. So what I would do if I was, let's say this is, well, I always put an arrow for which is up. And then I would go ahead.
All rotate down. Sorry.
Yeah, I would call this one, I would number 8. And then I would do my next one right here. If my flowers were all going to be the same fabric.
And they are.
They are? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't leave, you know, they'll tell you in like some people's books and etc. They'll tell you to leave like ½ an inch in between. That's a huge waste of fusible.
Yeah, you really only need like, what would you say, Mom, 1/8 of an inch?
Yeah, just, you know, just enough to get around there and get it easily. And then, you know, I put this a little bit away, but actually when I went to iron this on my fabric, I would probably trim this closer. So basically you're going to just trace these, like this scissor handle here. This, I could tell you the blades, this is the handle, it goes up, the blade goes this way, so the point, I would draw, can I draw on this?
Yeah.
I would draw a little arrow up, I would draw an arrow here. That's the
little bee body.
The bee body? Okay.
Which, by the way, it's yellow, and so when I was looking at the kit today, I'm like, why do we have a lemon? The bee body looks like a lemon.
So I can tell that this is the part that goes underneath, I believe. And then the same with your spool tops. Go this way. Just a little tidbit on spool tops. Sometimes if you put your spool top and bottom on upside down, it looks like a bobbin instead of a spool.
Does it really?
If it's not real tall. So yeah. Of course, squares and things don't matter. So anyway, that's just some little helpful tip to use. I like to try to save my scraps of fusible. I lost the cap. Here it is. I save that just because there's a lot of times you can do a little circle on a little bitty scrap and you've got your eyeball for something or whatever.
So when you're tracing, one thing that I think has been very helpful that you shared, why you use the fine point is that when you start cutting out your piece, exactly. Will you share that? This is a great tip from Mom.
Let me see if I can show you with this. This pen's a little bit thicker.
Let me go down for you, everybody.
Come down here. Let's see. Let's just pretend this is a fat Sharpie, you know, the kind that you have, and you draw a line like this, obviously. So say it was like that. When you cut, where are you going to cut? You have an option with your scissors. I'll just show you.
Show us, Mom. And hey, Jean. Hey, Carol. Thanks for joining us today.
Also, when you're cutting, like say you traced everything all on this giant thing, cut them out and separate them up. It'll make your life easier. So anyway, when you're cutting this, okay, I hope everybody can see this. I'm going to come in here to like cut this flower. So what I would do is I try to cut directly on the line, which is so nice to use these Karen K. Buckley scissors because they sort of grip. They're serrated in here. So they sort of grip your fabric as you're going. So they also help you guide this when you're cutting. So you see I was able to cut just on the outside, even on this fine point line. But if you have a really thick line, your option is I can cut this right through the middle. Well, that truly is going to change the size of my piece when I go to fit everything together. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does matter.
So basically you want to be consistent and cut either right inside the line, right on the outside of the line.
Yeah, just to be more accurate. Of course, if you use a laser cut kit from us, it's definitely going to be the same size as these traced images, correct, Brittany?
They are 100% the exact same line that we give you in the pattern is the same line that I
As the
digitized
cutting line.
for the laser. Yep.
Like, for instance, let's just show this.
Yeah, I was going to say put a piece and you'll put
I'll
it
show you
fusible
this
side
little-
up.
Little beehive, because this is reversed, it's going to be this way.
And look at that. Perfect.
Well, let me
fit.
lay it right on here. See, it fits exactly.
Perfect.
If I could lay it down. There we go. It fits it perfectly. So that way you know when you go to put it on your placement guide that it's and build your units, it's going to be the exact same thing that's going to fit. So easy
And
peasy.
fun fact, all of the lines come from Mom's original artwork, and then I just trace it in Illustrator to get the nice smooth line for you.
Yeah. So
Is it time to build some applique units?
I think it is. I could keep talking, but I won't, because you guys can't sit here for hours.
But as you all have questions, if you have more questions about what to do when you're tracing, go on, comment now, ask us. We're happy to help. And then we're going to trade sides and we're going to get down to building applique units.
And you're always welcome to send me an email at julie@stitchesoflovequilting.com, and I'll be happy to answer you. And if you want a phone call, I'll call and chat.
You do get to chat a
I
lot.
love to talk to everybody. I know I've talked to Sandra before, and I've talked to Leanie.
Mhm.
I think I might have talked with Connie.
I think
sometime.
Connie, yeah.
Barbara, maybe. I'm not so sure, but
So much fun to talk to
yeah.
everybody.
So we're
All
gonna
right.
switch it up again.
Yep, we're trading cameras
Okay.
again.
Let me get this out.
And now, you guys, if you have the kit at home, what I want you to be doing is go on and clip all your pieces apart and start peeling the backing off so that we're in the same spot. Because now we're going to start building some units. Okay, let's jump around.
So what she's talking about when she says clip the things apart, for those of you who don't have a kit, when you get a kit, your leaves are like all
Are you-
stuck
are you-
together. I'm right here. They're
I
all
want the
put
light
together.
There we go.
Yeah. They're all put together on one thing, like the leaves are all together, and then you just make a little snip on what I call the little bridge. So,
Yeah, it's usually like 1/8 of an inch. Every now and then it's a little bit bigger just because I like to have like on really big pieces. I don't want it to be floppy for you. So
Okay.
I'm getting rid of the light pad because I don't need it today. Okay, so, I forgot to talk about this at the beginning of the video. I love my Steady Betties. If you all don't have one, I highly recommend it because they're fantastic for pressing. I don't like to do my applique at a ironing board. It's just kind of weird. Maybe because I'm always filming a tutorial, so I'm sitting down or in front of a camera. So I like to have a Steady Betty, and I use the same Steady Betty when I'm doing the machine embroidery. I know a lot of y'all do the machine embroidery with me. This is my same one that I use all the time, and I love it.
And I use a Steady Betty that has the wool mat on one side. It's a woolly Betty.
Yes. Who just ordered? Somebody just ordered, and I want to know if they like it because I do like the one
I
that has
love
the
it.
wool on one side. But for me, there's no need for me to have a new one. This one works just fine. Okay, so let me tell you one of my favorite tips for machine applique. When I get my kit, I take all my pieces and I peel all the white backing of my fusible off. So when you have a piece, I left one. Oh no, I did peel it. I was going to try and leave one unpeeled, but I forgot.
It's
So-
easy to remove.
Exactly. So, it's got the white backing and we have it, everything is pressed professionally on a heat press here for you. And so all you have to do to remove your backing, you just take the piece fabric side up and kind of just press down like that. And then that white fabric or the white paper backing will release right away. Okay. So now one of the important things with machine applique is building an applique unit. And in the event description, we told you we were going to tell you how to read an applique pattern. So for some of you that have joined us and you're new, we number everything, but you might not have a pattern that's numbered. So what you want to do is look at the project, and the theory with machine applique is you're always going to build from the very bottom layer to the top layer, right? So let me tell you what I'm talking about. On the sewing, where's the real one? I'm holding a piece of paper. Let me get the real quilt out for y'all. Okay, so on the real quilts, and Mom will zoom in for what I'm talking about. So let's just take a look at, like, let's say the scissors, right? So we know that when you're looking right here, all these flowers are going to be placed down first, right? And so if you look at the pattern, it coincides with 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get a pattern that's not numbered, like from a different designer or whatever, I want you to be able to read the pattern and kind of interpret it for yourself. So what I would do with my placement guide, if you had it from, somewhere where it's not numbered, just pick a spot in the design that's the very lowest of the layers. So you can tell, like, the leaves are underneath all of the pieces. So that'll tell you that you can put all of those down first, and then you can start building units. So a unit means that we're gonna build, like this bumblebee is a unit, right?
Anything that has multiple pieces.
Exactly. So if we took our fabric and laid out this 18-inch square of fabric flat all at one time and laid all of our applique pieces down at one time, things are going to move, right? And then we're not going to be pleased because things will not be where they're supposed to be. And if you're like me, you want your project to be as close to perfect as possible. But again, our rule here, no quilt police. They're not allowed. They don't exist here. So if you make a mess up, just don't tell anybody.
I police my own stuff, though.
Mom polices herself a lot, and it's really funny.
Which you guys will notice your design is a little bit different because that flower on the outside, I didn't like it there.
So yours is moved inside.
I moved it to the inside for everybody because
see, if you look, it does feel a little.
It feels a little lopsided, and I didn't like it.
So Mom fixed that before it got to you.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is start with the pattern. So like I said, the leaves go all underneath everything. So we're kind of just gonna skip those numbers. So what we're gonna do first is build our scissor unit, right? So when we're looking at, and our placement guide, we like full-size placement guides. So we print it on big paper and then you just tape your 11 by 17s together, line it up, tape it, regular Scotch tape, nothing fancy. Okay, so we're gonna build our first unit, which is numbered 5, 6, and 7. This is our pair of scissors. So from my little magic bowl where I have all my pieces, I've kind of organized them a little for myself. So like I put my flower pieces together, my little bees together. So I'm just gonna dig down here and get my 3 pieces for my scissors.
Sorry guys, I turned the phone to maybe see it better and Facebook didn't like that.
Facebook's getting real mad at our camera skills today. Okay, so what I have is my Steady Betty, or it can be your ironing board. Basically anything you can iron on top of. Then I have my, what's that called? Placement guide. Sorry, y'all, I blanked on that word. I am going to slip this. I'm going to face it towards y'all. But I'm going to put that underneath the sticky part, the non-stick side of my fusing mat, right? And I don't need the Teflon one for this moment, so I'm going to set it aside.
And again, this is so nice, this fusing mat, because you really can see through it well. I know that you guys on camera probably can see this.
Yeah, you can see through it really, really well. So all I'm going to do is look at my numbers, right? So I have 5, 6, 7, and we're going to build our scissor unit.
5 is the blades.
Yep. 5 is the blades. This is a really fun, the blades are a motif fabric, right? Isn't that a cute motif fabric? Can't remember. So look at this. When I put this on, look at that. I'm like rubbing with my hand trying to move it. It won't move. Like it just kind of sticks there, which is very nice. So now I'm able to put my next piece in place. And again, whether or not you trace it or you use the laser cut piece, it's going to fit right in.
Barbara says it's great. She has one.
Aren't these great? I truly love these. And I know some of you probably have, you know, back when Fuse Mat was still around. It's the same thing. They're awesome. And then our final piece goes right here. So now I haven't ironed anything yet, right? Because my pieces didn't touch until now. So what I'm going to do now, what's great about this fusing mat, or I'm going to say fusing mat now.
It's okay.
Fusing mat is that you can iron on it and it's not going to permanently hold your pieces. Now you don't want to apply a ton of heat, just a little bit where it overlaps. So just for a few seconds. All right, so now that's going to be hot. I don't want to burn my fingers, right? So I'm going to move on to my next unit. What's great, you can just move your pressing mat around. So now let's look at our bumblebee. Get our little bumblebee pieces out. See, isn't it nice to have a little bowl? I always like to have a little bowl. And great place to find these. You know when you walk in Target and they have that little dollar section? That's where you can get a lot of great little things for your sewing room.
That one came from IKEA.
Oh, did it? This is a little IKEA. But the other ones I have, like these are the ones we just got. Look at that. $1.
Why don't you use that bee over there because it's a little bit, you can see the whole thing. Oh, from where I
taped it? Okay. Everybody, Mom's the boss. I do what she tells me. See, look, I moved this and my little guy stuck. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now we're just going to go from the smallest number up. So it's 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. So 54 is my little triangle.
which is his little stinger.
And when you're building a unit, like I jumped to the other side of the pattern, that doesn't affect anything. You're going to build the units and then put it all together at the end. So if you want to do all your bees at one time, you can. It's no problem at all. So I'm going to put my little stinger down. Now the next number is 55. It says little yellow. Doesn't that look like a lemon, y'all? I really thought it was a lemon today. Mom's giving me a look like I'm crazy.
It's a bee body.
It's a bee body. And so again, I'm going to put it right in place. Now all I'm going to do is just gently tap where those two pieces overlap. That's it.
I just touched the tip of my iron to it.
Yeah,
I
think it looks like I'm using the whole iron probably,
Yeah.
but I'm not. Then we put our little thing in place.
His little stripes.
His little stripey stripe. And you'll know you have it in the right place because they just touch on the edges.
You guys, Brittany's young and she can see through this really well, even through the fabric. I cannot.
You don't want to iron on your light box, so if I had the light box, I would have to move my piece on my fusing mat.
You just
away.
slide something firm underneath it.
Slide it over because you don't want to iron on your light box. I do sometimes, though.
Not a good idea.
It's not a good idea, but I do. Don't tell anybody. Okay, and now we're putting our next piece down. And you can see when you're building a unit, you're kind of going to have like one or two pieces that sort of hold it all together. And so you're just going to make sure we'll get in there. There we go. There we go. So now it's in place. And I'm just going to iron that. Okay, so look, I have a pair of scissors. I have a bee. Now my next piece, because I'm following the numbers, right everybody? So the next little numbers that I'm going to do, I'm skipping the green leaves because I know they're underneath everything. So now I have a thimble. So, and that thimble is, I'm going to try and show you in real life as we go too. It's your little aqua thimble. So let's go in to our piece. And if y'all have questions about this, let me know. I know that if you're new to applique, sometimes this looks intimidating. It's not at all. And when I'm done building my units, I'll kind of speed up a little so that we can start putting it on the fabric. You're going to see that it's really so easy and it makes something that looks complicated.
It's kind of like color by number.
It really is.
With the little squares of pieces of fabric.
Exactly. And so then the only thing that goes on this is that little gray stripe. So just press that for a second. And while I'm here, I know that I have another thimble, right? I'm just going to build that same thimble with my orange.
And I would like to say something here too. If you can see through your mat at this point, you can also take a little, not a, what do you call that thing? Oh my goodness. My brain.
A Pigma pin?
No, well you can use
Sew line?
Yeah, you don't want to use this, that thing. Friction pin.
This will disappear with
your
heat.
marks will disappear, but you could put, like with the thimble, it has little dimple marks that you'll stitch on later. You can mark those with your little Pigma.
Do you want me to do that?
You can do that with a dot there, just to show.
Yeah. So you can see what she's talking about. There's little X's that mark where you're going to do little accents at the end. Let me show you on the real thing.
Or you can actually just eyeball it and do it later. I mean, it's not difficult.
But all you do is just take your Pigma pen and you would go. Now for that, because I can't see the X's through this, I would then use my light box here. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can decide when you need your light pad or not. I know I keep trying to like show you all my face. Okay, so now we have our thimbles done. Let's see what's next. So easy. This unit's only 2 pieces. It's our pin cushion. So you can see I'm basically just moving my fusing mat around and I'm collecting units, if you will. So I'm going to try and, like I said, speed up a little. Okay, and Mom, I don't even know if you know that this is in this kit. Y'all know. Here, come to my face, everybody. So I love having something fun on the back of all my quilts. I think that's super. You know what I did? Okay, so today when I got this out to get ready for today, I'm like, oh my gosh, why do we have 2 pin cushions? Oh my gosh, that's right. You get an extra little pin cushion to put on the back of your quilt. I just love little things like that. But this is from like what we did this kit like all the way back in December, so I just didn't remember. Okay, so back to units. You can see, just follow the numbers, 25, 26. So 25 is the piece we're going to put down first. That's the bottom. So see, as you see me making these units, you're probably like, well, what's difficult about this? Well, nothing. But when you look at this as a whole, it can be intimidating. But what I love is by building units, you're breaking it down into really simple, easy units, and it makes applique doable. So who was it? Somebody commented earlier on this and said that you wish you were talented. Who was that?
I don't know.
You're talented. You know why you're talented? Because we give you all the tools to be awesome. And so when you make your project, you're going to look like an expert too. Because everyone needs to have fun sewing, and we're all experts with the right tools. That's what Mom always says, and that came from my grandfather, Mom's dad, and he always said, if you don't have the right tool, it's not going to be right, but once you have the right tool, everybody can look like the expert, right?
Okay, so Donna says, what is the mat? Well, this mat is a precision...
I'll show you the box real fast.
Precision fusing mat, Donna, that we have on our website.
Yep, under Notions. And so you get 2 in a set. You have the bottom one, which is like the, it's non-stick, or non-stick?
Yes.
Yes, it is non-stick. I'm like, what
but
am I
it does
saying?
have a tacky surface so that you can lay something on there and it won't slide around.
It's awesome. And then the set also comes with your Teflon, like, the more traditional.
So you get 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, these really are much better price than what we used to have available.
So you're going to build a flower now?
One more little pin cushion, everybody. I'm hurrying, y'all. Okay. And so this is great because you can see, I'm going to run out of room soon, and then I'll take my units off. But I'm just going around building my units, making this super, super easy. So actually I'm going to do my spools next. So let's take a look at our spool guide. Very easy. Ooh, I don't want to hit the iron with my paper. It's weird when we're filming, y'all, because, when you're filming, you're not sewing like you really would in real life. So I know it looks weird that I'm doing this sideways, but it's so that you all can see it in the camera. Okay, so I'm just going to gather my spool pieces. How cute are these? Are y'all just obsessed with this stripe? It's an 1/8 inch stripe for Riley Blake fabric. Adorable. So let's take a look at our numbers. So we have 31, 32, 33. That means that our spool top and bottom is going to go down first, and then our spool. And if you think about why that is, if you zoom over here, Mom, I know I'm making y'all move the camera a lot. If you had the spool top on the outside, then it would look like the spool wasn't as full, right? More a bobbin, like you were saying, right?
Well, it looks
If
like
it was
a bobbin if
squattier.
it's upside down, but...
Yeah. But see, so with it on the outside, it makes it look like the spool is full. And so
because generally our thread wraps around the spool.
Exactly.
So that's why we put the thread.
Hopefully it does, or something went wrong with your spool.
Well.
Okay, so one thing too, in this kit, we made all the spool tops and bottoms the same. You're welcome. Because, sometimes they're different and it's hard to figure out which is what. So in this,
Are you saying this because of my drawing?
No, I didn't say that, but Mom's an artist. And,
Press that down.
So, yeah, so I'm just pressing where they overlap, right? Just boop and boop. So you don't want to overexpose your heat and bond. I personally have never done that, but if you iron a lot, I guess you could. I haven't had that happen.
If you do that, you'll dissolve the glue if you iron it too much. It should only take, when you go to put this on your fabric, about 5 seconds to heat it. So you don't want to take too long when you're building your units.
Exactly. So see, easy peasy. This is, should you tell everybody, Mom, what you wanted to write a book and what you were going to call it? Because when you see how easy applique is.
I was going to call it, the subtitle was going to be Appliqué is not a 4-letter word. And the publisher told me that I could not do that.
No, she said no.
But applique to me is so much fun, whether you're doing it needle turn with this, I call it...
I do not like needle turn.
I do. Well, I find it difficult, but the,
I like it like this.
The starch method. This is quicker. Using the machine to do machine applique this way is quicker.
And if you're not talking like me, you would probably already have your units made.
So why don't you build a flower?
Okay, and I have one more bumblebee to build. And then we're going to put all this on the fabric and get to the cool part of Mom's stitching. Can I have my little bee? Okay. So.
And you have to do your little beehive.
I need my lemon. I'm going to keep calling that a lemon, y'all. Okay, so for those of you joining us, what we're doing is building applique units. So all of our patterns are numbered. So you start with the smallest number and go to the biggest number. It's really quite simple. And by following the numbers on the pattern and building from the bottom up, you end up getting to make really nice, easy to use units. There we go. So I'm just going to fuse this. Now I have my little head and my wings. Then we're going to make some flowers and we're going to put it all on our fabric. And I'm going to show you how doing these units made your life so much easier, right?
And yes, Donna, the background fabric does come in the kit.
Yep, it sure
as
does.
well as all the embellishments, the buttons,
I think
the
even the batting
rickrack,
was in this kit.
the rickrack, the bow, the binding, everything.
And this ribbon, y'all, isn't that so cute? Yeah, the rickrack and the binding, everything is in the kit. And then if you want to use your own fabrics, we do have the pattern available as well. Okay, so now...
It's called the sewing wreath, isn't it?
It is. It's called the sewing wreath. And so now you just... For these, you don't really need to use your placement guide. Let's be serious about that. It's a flower. You just put the circle in the center. So we're just going to zap these. Hand them to me, Mama.
I'm trying not to give everybody seasickness.
Speaking of seasick, you want to come on a cruise with us? Guess what we're doing? While I'm doing this, Mom, you want to like zoom up to the...
Well, we have a cruise for...
Machine Appliqué. It's going to be amazing.
It's in September of next year.
No, this year.
I mean, this year. Oh, 2020. Excuse me.
It's like 8 months from now.
And it will make you so happy. That's the name of the quilt. This is what we're going to make. It is 7 days.
It is a 7-day cruise. We are going to Cozumel, Jamaica, and
Somewhere.
Cayman Islands.
Wherever the boat takes us.
I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about this. First off, how great is this mat?
Look at that.
That's fun. So I have all my units. So what I'm going to do to peel it off, you just gently release it. Right? And so look at that. I have a perfect unit ready to go on my big piece. So let's just quickly peel all these off.
You could leave them on there until you're ready for them.
Oh, yeah, I can leave it on there. Let me just leave them right here. Okay, so now, this is going to be a little, let me give myself some space, everybody. I got a lot of pillows around me on the sewing table. That's not easy. Okay, so before the video started, I did a little skip ahead, and I put down all my green leaves. So let's talk about it. In the pattern, we have you cut an 18-inch square of fabric from what's included in your kit. Now, in all of our patterns, we give you an outside line to line up your fabric, and then we also give you your trim line. I, for some reason, always feel a little like intimidated by trimming at the end because after I've like sewn it all, then I'm like, okay, if I mess up here, I have to start all over. So several years ago, we started giving you the trim line because I liked it and I knew you would like it too. So at the end, you can truly just like with a Pigma pin or a friction pin, you can trace that line and trim right there and you know you're gonna have a perfect square quilt. You're welcome. I love that. Okay, so once you line it up, you're gonna see all my little leaves are in place around, right? And so I'm just gonna pull this over and we're just gonna start with start at the small numbers. So 1, 2, 3 is already in place. Now I need my little scissors.
And you're gonna go in kind of in numerical order.
Yes, I am. So I'm basically working counterclockwise, following the numbers. All right, so I have my little scissor unit, came off perfectly, and I'm just gonna put it in place. Now, isn't this a lot easier than trying to lay down all these pieces at one time? Applique units are your friend. And when I'm ironing now onto the fabric, I'm ironing it for real, right?
Now, because you're in this area and you can see this flower, you could go ahead and put a flower.
Exactly, and if you follow the numbers, that's what's next.
Oh my goodness.
I know, can you believe it, Mom? It's almost like you designed it.
And here's your leaf. Now the leaves for the flowers are a little bit different.
Boop, 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 boop. All right, so I'm just gonna put that there and I'll put my leaf here. There we go. And just zap them. I always call it zapping. It's really ironing. Now, following my numbers, that was 8, 9, 10. My leaves already down, so now I'm gonna do my little bee unit, right? So look at this. If you do the work of building your applique units, I do want my units off this all at one time, y'all.
Okay.
It just makes it easier for me in the video.
Marlene says, can you see your fabric for proper placement?
Yes.
Marlene, let me address that because Brittany is young.
Thanks, Mom.
She can see through the fabric. Now, on every fabric you use, you can't see. Now, I can see through this fabric as well, but again, you can't always. So I use a light box, and what I do is I place my light box or my light pad, whichever you have, underneath, turn the light on, lay the guide on, and then put the fabric on top. Mm-hmm. And then if I once I have it in place, and I might have to do just part of it at a time, I will then like put something firm underneath. Like if you have one of those old-fashioned really flat cookie sheets or a piece of flat metal, you can get a piece of I forgot what they call it. But anyway, you can sometimes find a piece of something really thin, like in the Lowe's or Home Depot, and just slide it underneath your fabric where you can transfer it to your ironing board and then get it so it doesn't move. You just want to make sure it doesn't move. You might have to do that multiple times or like in quadrants. But again, if you can see through your fabric and see it well enough, like these young eyeballs we have.
So we did have a light pad out earlier, but since I don't need it, I took it away because I don't want to have to slide it back and forth. But a light pad does make it really easy to do, for sure.
But you don't want to iron on your light pad or you will ruin it.
Your light pad will not thank you for that.
No.
Okay, so again, we're just following the numbers along, right? So we did our little B unit. We have that. So now look, we have a leaf. Vanna, can I have a leaf?
Oh, excuse me.
She's the camera lady and Vanna, but in a second, she's going to be your teacher. In just like 1 minute, once I have these ironed on, she is going to teach you the good part.
Marlene says, yeah, use a light box or always use light colored fabric. I think that's why, historically, I think that's why a lot of applique quilts.
The Boo Crew is orange, so you need a light pad there.
But I think a lot of applique quilts originally had light colored backgrounds, and I think that's the reason why.
Absolutely. So we're just moving, following the numbers on the placement guide, right? Now again, if you had a pattern, you're allowed to buy patterns from other designers. I don't know why you would, because my mommy designed this and she's my favorite. But if you do and they're not numbered, just go back to the beginning of this video and just think your way through building from the bottom layer up, right? So the very bottom and then going around. So that'll give you nice, helpful tips. There we go. And I think I shifted my fabric just a little. Oops. Oop. There we go. Alrighty. So
and if you do shift it a little, don't worry about it. I mean,
I didn't panic.
It's just a little quilt. You can make it work.
And may I have another leaf?
Because really, nobody knows what your pattern looked like.
Exactly.
And they're going to think, oh, isn't that cute when they see it?
Isn't that so cute? I love it. This is perfect. Now, I do want to give you a little tip and we put this on the placement guide. Look, let me show you right here. So all of the leaves are the same. These big green leaves, right? The green line print. They're all the same, but look right here. Instead of making you have like a lot of bulk under there, one of the leaves you just cut right in that little center and it fits there and there. So let me show you what that looks like. See, I just cut one down the middle. So before I cover that up, I wanted to point it out for you. But if there's ever anything like that, we give you a little tip in the pattern so you don't have to think about it.
So it's always nice to read your pattern.
It is. Well, you know, really, to me with Appliqué, the most important thing to read is the placement guide. To me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our block of the months, and I know the mini of the month, I truly tell you what units to build. So you really don't even have to think about your units either. Isn't that nice? I know. I have fun writing the pattern. So Mom designs everything and writes it and then gives it to me and I format it where it's always, you know, the same format and I add in, like, Mom's like so good at this. It's like her pattern would probably read like, make it.
Oh, it would not.
So I add in things that I think are really helpful. However, can I tell y'all something really funny? Every month when she's designing the for the Appliqué Club, you know, the mug rug and the zipper bag, she reads her own pattern every month and she just like, she'll come out to me and be like, what size is the mug rug? Cracks
No,
me up.
I don't. Not on the mug rug. It's a
The
zipper
zipper
bag.
bag cracks me up, y'all.
Because I would just make it however I wanted to, but it has to be right.
It has to be what's really the pattern.
And I don't ever follow I just do.
It's funny, though. I think it's cute that you asked me to print our patterns for you.
Yep.
Okay, and so now we're at another spool. And so again, I'm just following the numbers. I know we've chit-chatted, and I kind of quit telling you what numbers I was on, but we're just working our way around the quilt. Oh, thank you. My leaf. And so if you want to use the light box here, definitely do so. Just make sure you move it so that you iron on an iron safe surface. Then we have our pink pin cushion.
Well, light boxes are pricey, and you don't want to ruin your light box.
No, you definitely don't want to. Alrighty, and then we're dun 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 dun. I love that the very last piece we put on is like the center. I love it. Okay, look at that. Our little beehive right in place. Perfect. Now, wasn't this easy? Now, if you were doing this and you weren't talking in front of a camera, you would have been done even faster. So let me hold this up and show you. So remember as I did this and you saw me like ironing a spool, you're like, that's not hard. Why do I need to watch that tutorial? Because I showed you how to make it so easy. Instead of laying it all down at one time, build those units. And I'll tell you, and I've said this before in our videos, Mom used to talk about building applique units all the time, and I was like, I don't really get it. And then I started like doing it, and I'm like, no, applique units are where it's at.
Because Mom always is
Moms
right.
are always right. I know a lot of you are moms. You're always right. Must feel nice. I am not a mom. I am never right.
Oh, yeah, you are.
No, I am.
So why don't you show them, pick the light pad up, and you can show them how to trace.
Oh, how to trace on the heat and bond?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
No, not on the heat and bond.
Onto what?
The extra leaf or stems and stuff.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Okay.
But you probably want the light pad. Now, Marlene says she would use a small dot of glue on her pieces on the light box and then take it to the ironing board.
You can do that. I haven't done that. What kind of glue do you use? Like Elmer's glue? No, not Elmer's glue. What would it be? I think that's cool.
There's a lot of different applique glues.
Applique.
I don't know. I'm sure they would still work well with the heat and bond.
You don't have to get the light box out for me for this. I can show it.
Okay, but do you think everybody else can see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come in close, everybody. Can y'all see on the camera? So let me show you. Before we start sewing, we have accent lines, right?
Like for this little antenna.
Exactly. And then you have your stem. Now you can freehand that when you get to your machine. Or you can take this little very fine point micron Pigma pen. And we're just going to gently trace that line. Boop. Right? And then we're going to trace our little antenna. Boop, boop, boop.
And you want to be very careful with this if you're using a Pigma pen, to...
Do you want me to show the other pen too?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my new favorite pen. This thing's awesome. We don't have these on the website yet.
It's a friction pen.
And we need to. This thing is awesome, awesome, awesome. We use it all over the studio now. So let me just come over here.
Here's why you need a light pad. Can you see the little lines through that?
No, but you know what I would do there? I would freehand my lines.
Okay.
Okay, so let me show you. So I have my pins. And look at this pin. I'm going to actually, can I play and can I make it disappear?
Sure. What she's done is drawn the lines for the straight pins on the little pin cushion with her friction pen.
Okay, watch this magic, y'all. I love it. Here, make sure, oh yeah, you got a good, well, remember they're seeing it this way. There we go. Okay, so y'all see the pink lines? This is going to be my only magic trick I've ever done on film.
Do it.
It's gone!
Well, you might want to move it because you can still see the...
Oh, you can see the line. Yeah, see, look, it disappeared. This thing is cool. I actually think I like this better than the Pigma pen, to be honest.
You have to be careful, though, when you use it because sometimes you'll forget that it's going to go away with heat. And I drew something the other day and then ironed it. And I was like, oh, darn. I have to do that again.
Well, we have had a few. No, I've heard rumors. No one's actually told us this. But I think you told me you saw somewhere on Facebook, like some other page or group, where they said in the really, 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 really cold
It'll come back.
It'll come back. Like if y'all are up in Michigan or something.
It's colder other places besides Michigan.
I don't know. When we were in Michigan, I was cold. Such a fun state, though. I really liked it. Well, I don't know. If you're in Switzerland and you're cold, that's the coldest place I've ever been in the world. Don't go there unless you have, like, fleece-lined skin. It's so cold there. All right, what other accent lines? Oh, my bumblebee.
Okay, so I would not bother drawing those with a friction pin because you're going to iron your fusible to the back, aren't you?
Okay. Well, whatevs. Yes.
So what she's going to do next is iron the fusible batting to it.
That kind of killed my friction pin. I'm so sad.
Sorry.
I deflated, y'all.
So what happens is, the reason I like to iron this thin Quilter's Dream fusible battering, it's actually called Dream Fusion.
So one side is kind of textured. That's your fusible. The other side feels like regular batting.
Yes. I like to use this because you don't need a stabilizer when you stitch. You can stitch right through this on your machine. I've never had to make any giant adjustments with the tension or anything on my machine when I do this. And so it's quite nice, I think. It actually does double duty. You're kind of quilting your piece at the same time as when you stitch it. Now, if you prefer using just a regular stabilizer underneath, you can do that.
And do you want to talk about stabilizers while I do this? Because then we're going to switch and you're going to sew.
Well, I have...
Tell us about your stabilizers, Mom.
I have stabilizer dilemmas, actually. I have not met a stabilizer to use with just fabric and my applique pieces that I'm totally in love with yet.
Well, don't tell our friends.
Well, I'm just saying, to me, I have a hard time with that.
But what do you use?
So what I typically will use, if I'm not going to use like if I was doing a big quilt, it's something that I couldn't use the fusible batting with, it's basically kind of like a deli wrap paper. It pops up like you wrap little sandwiches in. I bought it at Sam's. I don't remember the exact name of it at this point. It's in the other room.
It's a royal blue box.
Well, it probably isn't now. That box is old. But at any rate, I use a paper underneath. You want something that's going to kind of stabilize it because you're going to be, when you do the blanket stitch, you're going to be poking a lot of holes in here. And it just stitches out nicer if you have
if you don't
something
use a stabilizer,
underneath.
it's going to be a disaster. Ask me how I know. Because I forgot stabilizer one time.
So you'll want to either use some type of stabilizer. My problem with them is the ones that they say are lightweight tearaways. When you tear them away, if you've done a blanket stitch, it distorts your stitch.
And you don't want that.
And I don't want to have that happen after I've spent all this time.
However, on the embroidery machine, I will say I have no problem with tearing away the...
Oh, Trina says the paper's called dry wax paper.
Dry wax paper. That's exactly
right.
It.
Thank you, Trina. Yep.
It is. Is it still a royal blue box? That would be funny.
I don't know.
I'm sure there's a lot of different,
brands.
Okay, so we're going to switch. And Mom's going to teach you, the stuff you've really been jonesing for. Right? I was just, the really long-winded beginning person.
Oh, come on.
Okay, transition.
It's all fun.
Alrighty, here we go, everybody. All right. So, I'll be like a Vanna. For those of you just joining us, these are some of the new upcoming projects that we have coming out. They're designed by Mom. We have some collaborations coming out with our friend Amy Brucken. We have a really fun sewing cruise coming up. So while Mom gets herself in gear, I guess that was my whole commercial. Come have fun with us.
One thing.
Oh, and Elmer's glue stick. Oh, cool. You know what, Marlene? I'm going to try that. I've never done that, so that's something cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, everybody. So if this is your first project with machine applique, my hat's off to you because you've taken something that has a lot of pieces as your first project. So what I would suggest you do, because you want to get familiar with your sewing machine and which stitch you want to use, you want to do something to try it out. So what I've done is I have a couple extra spools that I have made. So I put together I just took a piece of fabric, I don't know, this is 5 inches by 10 or something, and I ironed a piece of batting to the back of it. I put a piece of rickrack right down the middle, just for interest, And then I traced and made myself 3 little spools, different colors. And so I wanted to test my stitch.
All right, I'm going to come around and we're going to show Mom live stitching for you.
And I'm stitching this in black because it'll be fine, but you will be able to see it much better.
And so talk about like how thread changes the way it looks, because to me, it definitely changes how things look.
Well, you can play with thread. It's so much fun. Like for instance, on the B here, I used black thread because I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. On the other pieces, I really matched it. I didn't always do a blanket stitch. You can mix it up. You'll see on these flowers, I did a straight stitch around, just like 1/8 of an inch inside. And I did that on the leaves as well, because the leaves would have been okay, but I've just been enjoying the straight stitch a little bit. But on this flower, when you do a blanket stitch around, sometimes, especially if you haven't been doing it for a long time, it's difficult to get your stitches always angling in just perfectly. So you can do this and it'll be fine. Now see this circle? Everything is pointing to the center. All the stitches on the circles are going into the center. You really want every stitch that you make to be perpendicular, which actually works really well on this beehive. You can see coming around.
Well, let's show them stitching, Mama, because I'm excited.
So it's, this has just the blanket stitch on it and a straight stitch. That's all I've done. So it's really simple. A lot of people like to use a zigzag stitch. You can do that too. So on your machines, you have an option with, usually machines nowadays have several different stitches to pick. I like to pick a stitch that does, on the outside, it'll go a couple stitches here and then it jumps in and back out, and a couple stitches forward, in and back out. Can you follow me here? In and out. The reason I do that is, number one, it gives you some depth on the machine. On the piece as it's done. It kind of gives you a dimension. It's easier to control primarily when you go around curves, etc., like that. You also want to be able to use needle up and needle down. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. Also, with another thing, you want to start stitching on stuff behind, whatever's behind first. And I apologize, this machine, I haven't touched it in a while, and it's acted ornery for me today when I played with it. So I apologize, some of these stitches did not come out just right.
They weren't perfect today.
I was not a happy girl. So
talk about where you're going to put your needle.
You want to use an open toe foot, which gives you wide range to see exactly where your needle's going to be. And I always slow the machine down. And then I put my needle right where I want it to start. And I'm not going to put it in, but I'm going to just give it a go here. And a lot of times I will do things just one stitch at a time. See, that didn't catch.
Yeah, it jumped a stitch.
It did. It's been doing that. It's probably time for this machine to have a little bit of service. Okay. Once you get to kind of a straight area, you can kind of book it. Do you see how it's always pulling the fabric to the back? If you use the traditional blanket stitch that we've had in the past, it goes back and forth. And it's really hard to control where your stitch is going to be. And when I get down to the edge, I usually will do it with my one stitch at a time. And I don't use a foot pedal on machines that allow me to use my fingers and finger touch control.
So you're doing all with your fingers.
Yep. And if you have a knee lift, that's really helpful as well. This machine does not.
The newer ones of this do.
Yeah. So see, and then you just pivot. You want to leave your needle down in the fabric when you pivot. See? So it's always pulling it back, and you go right on the edge. I try to look for an exact needle, the width of the needle. I hope everybody can see that. Mm-hmm. The width of the needle is where I like to make sure that that's where I put the needle's going to go, and I stay right there on that edge, just a needle width away. Okay, so now we're going to...
So you don't want to puncture the edge of the fabric here on the outside of it.
Yes. The reason for that is when you puncture the edge, it will sort of fray the edge. Now, with one of the other beautiful things about laser cut kits is when the laser beam cuts the fabric, it will sort of finish it off a little bit. Plus the adhesive helps too. But it's really nice. But if you have a loosely woven fabric and you puncture it with your thread, it's going to give you little hairs all along the edge.
And no one wants hairy applique.
Well, you might if you were doing a
If
bear.
you're going for that look.
If you were doing a teddy bear, you might want it. So you just want to bebop along. I did on this, many times I think about how my project is going to be used, and like for instance, I didn't leave my threads and pull them underneath and tie them. That's because this is just a little nothing. But if it's a big quilt that you're working
that you're
on,
sewing on, not the sewing wreath. You're talking about the actual sample you're sewing.
My little sample. So you need to think about how your piece is going to be used. If it's going to be washed a lot, say it's for a baby quilt, you definitely want to make sure that you lock your stitches and tie them off in the back. And I'll show you how I do that.
I was going to say, show everybody just in case.
Let me come down here and get this going. And when you're going on a straight bit, you can just kind of speed yourself up. And then you want to pivot and see that's a little bit there. I go across here.
And I would say on the sewing wreath, I would start with start at start with 1, 2, 3. But maybe if you want to try, do the straight edges first just to get yourself comfortable on your project. Don't be afraid to break the rules for yourself.
Okay, so to tie it off, you can just pull that to the back and then pull your thread to the back, which I can't.
There we go.
There it comes. So get a grip on this. Okay, so now my 2 threads are at the back. I mean, it's just so simple. All you're going to do is, I tangled them up. But hold on. There we go. You're just going to tie a knot back here. And I just knot it twice. And this is, going to keep your threads from coming undone, especially with multiple washings. If it's just a tiny wall hanging like this wreath, and I know that I'm probably not going to ever really have to wash it, I don't bother with that. But if it's, and also speaking of washing like a little wreath or a little wall hanging like this, even if it got, what they'll get, they don't really get dirty. They sometimes can get dusty. Just toss it in the dryer with a towel that's maybe even just slightly damp or not even really damp. Just toss it around with a towel and it'll knock off the dust. Okay, so the only thing left to do on this little one across here is this. So what I will probably do with this is I'll just, turn it into some little square. This could be a cute little insert for a zipper bag or just anything you wanted. You could make it a mug rug. You could make it a pot holder by putting several layers of batting or whatever. So that's an additional thing you can do to practice and actually use what you've practiced with.
So talk to us about threads. I'm going to come around and show you. Will you talk to us about the threads that you like to use? Because I think that really makes a difference in your applique.
Yes, I will. I like to use the sulky thread. The reason I use I use 30 weight on the top because it gives it an extra poof in dimension. Well, let's just look at this pillow.
Teach us, Mama. Tell us about the thread.
It just gives it, now this I quilted around the outside edge, so let me see what's a good place. Okay, I didn't quilt through the middle on these, but it gives it, it raises it up.
It does. It gives a nice depth to your pieces.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, if you look, let's just put this aside.
We're getting a different sample for you to see, everybody.
Yeah, if you look at this This is flat. Everything looks very flat on this, right?
Cute but boring, right?
Well, just flat. But when you give it the stitch with the blanket stitch around it, you add an extra dimension. Now this does have batting underneath, but you get that even without. You can see how flat this looks, whereas when you put your stitching on it, it poofs it up. And that's one of the reasons.
So let me just go, I'll go spool to spool for you. These are two really easy ones to show you. So this is the spool before it's stitched, right? It doesn't have any dimension. Voila, using 30 weight in your needle and a 50 weight in your bobbin. Look at that dimension on that, right? It just really brings your pieces to life. And I will say, even when you do a straight stitch, that 30 weight makes a difference.
Now on this, these little markings that we were talking about on the beehive, I did this with 12 weight sulky thread, or you can use embroidery floss, or you can use a double strand of the 30 weight if you have it, and just make your little dash lines curving around. As Brittany said, you don't really need to mark them, and that works fine.
You could even use the sewing machine and just do a straight stitch if you wanted to.
Yeah, but it's more fun to have it dashed. It gives it a little more dimension.
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that you can break the rules. We don't believe in quilting police.
Right. And on this little the pin cushions, I just did a curve here. Now I do that with a straight stitch. And I just will go, and the same with these well, I can't tell. Did I do that with the machine? Sometimes I do it with the machine. Sometimes I do it by hand. Just depends on my mood at the moment. But if I'm doing it with the machine, I will still use the 30 weight, and I may go about 3 or 4 times stitch back and forth on top of this little stem whenever I'm doing a stem. And again, I will tie it off if I think it's going to get some extra wear and tear. Same with the X's on the little dimples for the thimbles, like that. I sew my buttons on at the very end because you don't want to quilt around them. They're just annoying. They get in your way. I don't care what kind of thing you have. One suggestion I would make also with the bow is just pin it on in case you do want to wash it or it gets dusty. Just pin it on, and then you can take it off real easy. And actually, this one's pinned on with a straight pin. I probably would use a safety pin. But that's how I pinned this one on.
So, Mom, tell us what you're going to be teaching on the cruise. Because if you enjoyed this Facebook Live, it's really fun to go on vacation with us and sew with us. So tell us about it, Mommy.
We love trips.
We do.
So on the cruise, we're going to be working on this quilt called So Happy behind us. And we're going to have a little bit more time, obviously, than we do on a Facebook Live, so we can talk more in depth about how to layer your pieces and cutting them out with the fusible.
And we go through our machine applique workbook, which means that with your sewing machine, you will get to try all kinds of different stitch widths, stitch lengths. And maybe before we end today, talk about, how you can mix stitch widths and lengths in a project. Because I think sometimes maybe people have a hard time picking that. Give us some go-to sizes.
Here's a great tip. What you'll want to do is, if you're not real experienced with your machine, test out the different blanket stitches. Even this little machine has 6 different blanket stitches. That's a lot of choices.
So take that spool from your pattern and make something like this. Just cut out 5 or 6 spools.
Or just take a piece of fabric and use your Pigma pen or your Sharpie and write at the top that you used, say, stitch number 25, and you use 2 wide by 2 long, or stitch 55 1.5 wide by 1.5, or whatever, however combination. So you get to know what you like, because you may like yours to be further apart or wider bite inside the piece. Mm-hmm. It sometimes depends on what you're doing. There's something at home that I've been working on right now, and I've actually been using a 1 by 1. That's a very small. It's very small, but it's perfect for what I'm doing. It looks great. And I am mixing that within that particular piece with a stitch that's up to 2.5 by 2 space in between, but 2.5 long biting in, because I really wanted it to bite that particular piece longer, and I wanted the stitch to show up. So you can play with it to show, make the stitches show off your piece better. Now, if you have a small piece, like
I was gonna say, talk about like the on the thimble.
On the thimble, this little band, you're going to want to use a smaller stitch. So if I was doing this, I would probably use 1.5 by 1.5, or maybe 1.5 by 2, because the 2, when I say 2, that would be the space
between the stitches. And the bite in would be the 1.
And you really want to figure that out on your machine, because some machines are backwards. I think this one's backwards to what some of my other machines are. So you want to know which one is the depth, the space in between, and which one is the bite, the depth into your piece.
So what would you say are your most common sizes?
If I'm going to start with something on my typical machines, not this one limits me more. My advice is have a machine that doesn't limit you. But I like to start with 2x2. That would be my go-to. But what I was trying to say is make a scrap and just keep it with your book on your machine, or keep it somewhere that you know what you like. Or sometimes what I do, now that we have, just keep a little notebook and just write it down what you're working on. Like, for instance, on one of my machines, I was so surprised I hadn't used it in a long time. On the inside, it said Spoolie Bird 2x2.
Yeah, it truly, and you know what quilt that is? I'm gonna.
Oh, that was this quilt.
This one. That's the quilt that started our whole company back in 2012.
And I'm sorry it's bumpy. It's been folded for a long time.
Yeah, we just rearranged some of the quilts in here, so that just came back out. It is wrinkled. We should steam it.
We love Spoolie Bird.
Pop it on the heat press. So Marlene, thank you. She said she found us by accident. She's so glad she did. It's very informative. You are so welcome.
I just want everyone to love Appliqué. I think Appliqué is so much fun. You get to, you can always mix it with your pieced quilts, add little touches here and there. And
I personally love Appliqué so much. I don't know how anyone doesn't want to do applique all day.
A lot of people are scared of it, I think. That's what I hear.
It's much more forgiving than piecing. I would do an applique over a star all day.
Well, your applique, you put it on there and then you trim the block to the right size to fit in the quilt. So, yeah, it can be a little more forgiving, I suppose.
However, some of our quilts recently had more piecing. Like, I'm having a lot of fun making the snow buddies.
Yes, we have a new thing called Stitch 52, and there's pieced blocks with that. So I think there's 120 blocks in there, but 60 of them are hand-stitched.
Yeah, hand embroidery.
Hand embroidery, and then piecing with the others, and it's real scrappy, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we have some really fun block of the months coming out that are a lot of some are a lot of piecing, and some are just like, I kind of like, when it's just like basic blocks that you put together, and it looks like you did so much work on a quilt when it's applique, even though it was just like easy squares you sewed together. I love that.
Oh, can I talk about one other little thing?
Yeah, Mommy, share all the info you want.
One other little tip. When you're doing your rickrack.
Oh, yes.
Rickrack has, here's a piece, actually.
Tell us.
Your rickrack has, this is different kind of rickrack, so don't judge. It just happens to be yellow. You want to, let me just use this little ruler. Okay. Boy, this is a little interesting little ruler. Let me move this away. I'm sorry, guys. I just happened to think of something I wanted to tell you. So, when you're going to put your rickrack on, you want to figure out, like, this is the hump or the dip. This would be the dip, I guess, and this would be the hump. We're assuming the outside edge. Let's pretend this is the outer edge of your quilt right here. Okay, and so you're going to want to sew, like I sew mine on either 3/8 or 1/4 inch away from my binding. Depends on how I want to do it. So I would want my stitching line to come exactly right on the edge of this dip, right? So I like to take the edge of my quilt, and I would say I was going to do 1/4 inch. I would stitch 1/4 inch here. And then I lay this on where my 1/4 inch stitching is, and I make sure that that dip is on here straight. Now, a lot of times you'll see... So
basically you put the middle of the rickrack right over that 1/4 inch seam.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't always work out quite as the middle, so you got to be careful, especially with the larger rickracks. You may even want to trim it off like trim it 1/4 inch off. You could do that with this too. So if you put, I don't know if you can come in here, Brittany, and see.
I'm coming.
Sadly, this ribbon back here is yellow, and so is this ruler. But there's the 1/4 inch line, and it's on the dip right here. Well, that's off a little. But anyway, you can tell that it's on the dip here, and you would have this little bit to come off. If you wanted to, just lay your rickrack down and whack it off with your rotary blade, and then you know when you get ready to put it on your quilt, it's going to go exactly on the edge, and you don't really have to think about it, and you don't really need that 1/4 inch line.
Perfect.
If that's not clear, let me know. We'll make a little example for you. But if anybody,
I believe we have rickrack tutorials on.
Have we?
Yeah, I do a lot of the rickrack and the itsy bitsies.
Okay, because look at her itsy bitsies and see. I know we have some older tutorials that we were using the bigger rickrack when the jumbo was.
Yeah, we have a really good rickrack tutorial, I
really
believe,
popular.
for summer fun from a few years ago.
And this one also uses the jumbo up there.
Yeah, so that's another benefit of coming on the cruise with us. You're going to get the rickrack lesson in person. And it's going to be fun. We're keeping it really small on the cruise so that you're going to get one-on-one time. You might, after 7 days, you might be tired of me and Mom, but you're going to be really knowledgeable.
You can always hide from us on the cruise.
No. We're going to have so much fun, though. We have meet and greet with the captain. We don't know who the captain is, but we're hoping he's a hot guy.
We requested that.
We requested a hot man. We don't know what we'll get. It's going to be fun.
So we hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial for the sewing wreath. Are we going to do this for every sewing wreath?
Yeah, we are. We are. Every wreath. Blah, blah, blah. That's hard to say, every wreath. So, Mom, will you hold up the Easter one? Let me show everybody what's coming next. So the next one in this series is called the Easter wreath.
Sorry, guys. A little bit of noise there.
So look how cute this is. Is that not just darling? I mean, come on. You need that in your house, don't you?
Oh.
I do. So when you join this and you get the kit, it has your background fabric, your backing, your batting, your binding, your rickrack, your buttons, your ribbon, your applique pieces, your pattern. It's awesome. Super fun to get in the mail.
Laser cut.
And everything's laser cut. It's super, super fun. Bernadette, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you like it. Yay. And Margarita said, thank you for the information. You are so welcome.
Absolutely.
I hope that you all join us. And again, if you're watching this after it's live, go on and comment and ask us questions. We'll be monitoring it and trying to answer as fast as we can any questions you have. Always jump over to our YouTube channel. Subscribe there so you can see all our new tutorials. We have a bunch of tutorials coming out next week. So
and this will be on YouTube soon.
Yes.
I don't know how long we've been back here. Ooh,
I don't know. I know.
Over an hour.
We have to go have dinner. We're going to go to a cooking class tonight.
Congratulations to everybody who's watched us the whole time.
Hopefully we kept you entertained and we didn't bore anyone. And hopefully you all loved the information and will join us again. Sandra, how do you quilt the background fabric? Oh, Mom, talk about the quilting that you did.
Okay, so I get two.
Yeah, you can show
ways.
two. Yeah, show both of them.
Two different things. On this one, I have a long arm, so I actually put this one on my long arm, and I did stitch it first. This is really puffy. I stitched it first with the fusible batting on it, as I talked about, but I wanted it to be puffier because I really enjoy seeing the quilting. Now, this I used wool.
So you did the
wool
batting that
batting.
came in the kit and then a second layer of wool. Is that right?
Yes, and then on this one, it has like just a simple little wreath in the center.
That is really pretty.
On the outer edge, I did just the cross hatching on the outer bit, but I like the puffiness.
So you can do that on your regular sewing machine though, correct? You
Yes,
would maybe
if
have to
you're
use
talented.
a
I cannot.
template.
Yeah, I have to use. Yes, you could use a template, and you could use a friction pin to draw it on, or you can draw whatever you want friction on it with a friction pin. On this one, I used the. I did it on the sewing machine. I'm pretty sure, just through the one layer of batting, and you can't see the quilting as well.
I was going to say, hold them up side by side, Mom. This is a really good example of one layer versus two layers
Of batting.
of batting. So one layer of batting obviously comes in your kit, but if you want to add a second layer, it really does change the dimension. And you can use two layers on your regular sewing machine. Is that right, Mom?
Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it would work.
Yeah, well, it should work.
Y'all, I never have to actually quilt anything. Mom quilts everything.
Yeah. But see, you can also tell with the back, like the back of this is really dimensional as well. And I think it has a little more body, obviously, because it has more batting.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But it's all up to you and how you're going to do it. These would also be cute if you did piecing around it and use this as the center of your quilt. I think would be adorable.
Oh, that would be fun.
Just put some little blocks around it or flying geese.
Well, we know how we're going to do the Wreath Club next year. You're welcome, Sandra. And Lila, love watching. Oh, thank you.
And I know that Sandra's in the snow. And
Oh.
I'll just have to tell you guys, Sandra, here in Tallahassee today, it's 76.
Yeah, I was going to say, look, short sleeves.
We actually turned the air conditioner on today.
Yeah, before we filmed, we're like, we're going to get hot.
Yeah.
We got to turn the air on.
So
we did.
Again, thank you to everyone who's watched us. And we hope that you enjoy our kits from Stitches of Love and that you love Appliqué. I want everyone to love it as much as me because, you know, it's just so much fun.
And this was fun. I really hope you all enjoyed live because I personally had a blast today. Mom, did you?
Yeah, it was fun.
Highlight of the workday is getting to spend the time with y'all on the video. So thank you.
Just thanks so much.
It's 16 degrees where Sandra is. Oh, goodness. I can't even. Good Lord, 16. I can't even imagine that. Well, you stay under your quilt, Sandra.
She needs some wool batting.
I know. You do need the 2 layers of batting. That's funny.
Oh, cute.
All righty.
Okay, everybody.
We're going to go eat dinner. Bye, everybody. Happy stitching.